Inside the 18, I'm Michael Magid, live from my desert bunker in Palm Desert, California. That's been the intro for the last 6 weeks or so. With me is 99 World Cup winner Saskia Weber, green screen sensation, you know him as Pro GK Academy, Omar, and joining us, really worried about what she's gotten herself into, is Chicago Red Stars goalkeeper Emily Boyd. Emily, welcome to the official part of the show.
Yeah, we've already been talking for about 15 minutes.
For those of you guys,
so back to what we were talking about.
Yeah, back to where we were talking about.
You guys have to travel to Wisconsin to train. So when you're in do you still have to have those weird social distancing on the field rules, or being in Wisconsin, can you just train normal?
So we're like doing the phases, small groups, slightly larger groups. So we're in groups of 8 right now. So when we're on the field, like in our group, technically, like you can play soccer like you would play soccer. We're not like, oh, don't come within like arm's length, because like that doesn't really work, you know? But
there's some people I would have loved to have said that too.
Yeah, but and then hopefully like at the first of the month, maybe we're doing full team training. I'm not exactly sure the timeline, but we had to do our like small breakdowns, make sure everything kind of went well, make sure our tests this weekend come back clean again, and then, you know, carry on to the next phase.
Right.
Well, I'm just excited you guys are getting back at it, and you guys are going to have a season. That's absolutely fantastic. In fact, I believe you guys are going to be the first. Currently, right now, you guys are the first major professional sports league in the United States that's going to head back to the field, which is really cool. And I mean, I know the format's not exactly what everybody wanted in regards to a full-time season, but the compromise of this kind of tournament, I honestly, as a fan, I think it's going to be really exciting. I think it might turn on some more people to NWSL that might not have been watching it in the past.
Yeah, for sure.
You know,
I mean, that's our goal, you know, getting all these people that are working part-time at home, or, you know,
people
not
are
working
starved for sports. And not to say that when you're starved for sports, the only thing to watch is women's soccer. Trust me, it's not what I'm saying, but thank God, you know, and you know, I got Mike and then watching these I never even heard of. Right now.
Well,
I don't know what Omar was talking about yesterday. So.
Dude, okay, so
still don't know those 2 teams you were talking about.
Dude, Omar was watching like Belarusian First Division.
What?
Honestly, I'm watching this Korean baseball on ESPN too. So I mean, it's like a step away from dodgeball.
Do they all have their little bats in the stands going like this?
No,
I used to watch Japanese baseball nonstop. It's the only thing on television when I lived there.
There's no fans. There's no fans, so it's just cutouts.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, they just
are
have
they
cutouts.
in Zoom? Just the Zoom, all the calls coming in like this.
Hold on, Em. Can you like? You should straight up trademark that, because like that's gonna blow up. Are you kidding me?
Because they've been like putting cutout cardboard things in it. Right now, you just have like an epiphany that it's like, why don't we just Zoom all the fans? There you go.
Hey, why not?
Oh my gosh.
You have to have a lot of computers or something to have all the singular fans sitting around the stadium, but
yeah, you know, we'll have
giant, you know, just a giant green screen.
We'll have smart people like Omar like figure out that type of technology.
Yeah, you
stuff.
do something like that, then you have somebody hack it, and God knows it'll pop up behind it.
I've tried to set a background on Zoom so many times, and like I just can't get it. I don't know how yours looks so nice.
Yeah, we'll do a webinar. We'll figure something out.
Dude, if you do a Q&A webinar on how to set virtual backgrounds that just really are obnoxious to a lot of people.
He messes up sometimes, trust me.
Oh, dude. The best was we had a player on about a week ago or so who had played at North Carolina, and he put up UCLA.
Yeah, a huge UCLA thing in the background.
It stayed up because I had it from the last one we had. So
I was like, what are you doing, man?
So now do you double check before like I got on the call? You were like, okay, Cal, okay, Houston, no, Chicago.
Yeah, that's the last thing I want to do is upset the guest. But hey, it happens every once in a while. But I'm just happy it's not you.
Yeah,
I wouldn't get too upset. I might just make a comment, and then I'd probably get over it.
She made me change, so.
By the way, for those of you guys who are tuning in, this is a goalkeeping podcast. It is a goalkeeping podcast.
We always get to know each other first.
I know. I just want people to make sure. Speaking of getting to know, I just want to give a quick shout out to Amber Robson, who just let me know, sent a nice little message, said that they're watching today because Emily's on the show right now. She says that she drove to Chicago for Red Stars game last season, and that you gave her daughter Alyssa autographs on her old keeper gloves. So she just wanted to thank you for that. So,
woo.
Yeah.
Hey, Liz.
Yeah, so they're excited about you being on there.
You got
anyway,
fans popping up on here.
Yeah. So but anyway, let's get into today's topic, guys, right here. Today's topic is the forward smother. I know it sounds really, really fancy when we're talking about it. Some people are very not familiar exactly what's going on with the terminology. Sometimes it's parents who are watching. So Emily, since you're the one that's playing right now, why don't you break down the forward smother to us, or the front scoop?
Yeah, I actually do a little mix of the two. I call it a front smother.
That's what I call it too.
You can blame Rich Reese for that, because that's where I got my terminology.
No, I call it a front smother too. Nobody ever knows what Mike's talking about, so it's fine.
A forward smother. I was asking my roommates, like, what do you guys think that if I said front smother, would you know what I'm talking about?
It's a front smother.
And they were like, it's like where you catch it like this and then you like fall down. And I'm like, sure, good enough. But break down the front smother.
This is my favorite episode so far. This is amazing.
Honestly, it's like a little scoop, and then you just
fall down.
This is
you just have your weight so far forward that you just have to keep going.
Well, all right, fine. Well, listen, guys. By the way, I wasn't sure what people call it because everyone has a different term for it. I was trying to be professional. I was like, a forward smother. That sounds like something that you would hear like on some UK, webinar on goalkeeping or something like that, like the forward smother. Like you go down and as everybody watching the way I'm doing.
Michael doing it in an accent doesn't make it better.
It did make it better.
No, it didn't. Front smother. Okay, fine, whatever it is.
All right, whatever.
I like the description.
Okay. All right, fine. Omar, why do so many youth goalkeepers have difficulty with this technique, Professor?
I don't know. I think from my own experiences and from other people, I think it's just a lack of not confidence, but like they don't want to see the ball all the way through because of a potential like of the ball dropping and bouncing right in front of them. So they kind of take their head away from it and they don't finish out the progression. And I think that sometimes can hinder somebody's, I guess, not perfection of it, but to really have confidence seeing the ball all the way through. And obviously when we talk about, taking your head backwards, you lose your hand-eye coordination. And when that happens, you don't have full, command on the ball. So I think, again, if we could just teach our kids to just, keep their head completely still and really see the ball all the way through, I think we'll get more success with it.
No, I think
sorry.
No, go ahead, Saskia.
No, I think from what I've seen with kids, number one, their center of gravity is not low enough. Like when you're doing it, you got these kids, they're doing a scoop, they're standing straight up, and then you try to fall straight up. It's like at the bottom. It's got to be weight forward, body weight forward, leaning into the ball, bent at the knees, bent at the hips, and then your hips have to go down. So when you do a front smother, by your hips going down behind you, the ball's not going to squirt out. You also have kids that keep their knees too close together, so then they're digging their knees into the ground and listing onto their side and all sorts of weird stuff. So it's more of a controlled situation. It's not so chaotic. It's more of like a front, like a scoop, and I agree with them. It's a scoop with your body weight coming forward. It's easier to go down, smother the ball, waste some time, do whatever, and just make sure it's safe.
I think one of the issues that I've seen personally with the smother in regards to with kids, and Emily, I don't know how it was like when you were growing up and you were learning all the different techniques, but there's just a certain matter of it's the eye line, and just a lot of kids they're so focused on just the flight of the ball coming from them that they lose sight of it once it drops into that kind of that lower tier of their body. And because they're still so upright, by the second that they find the ball again, they have to find sight again. And then by then it's too late and they kind of make a big mess of it.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I train tons of kids, and they are just scared that if they put their nose down, the ball is going to come up and hit them right in the face. And I'm actually like, if you put your nose down, it's more likely it's not going to hit you in your face. But they don't believe it until they do this, and then it comes up and they bite their tongue off, and then then they'll maybe actually look at the ball.
Yeah, Mike, I think it's that like the transitional progressions. I think, again, it's like, Mike, it's once you realize it's not going to be a shot that you have to kind of be upright for, it's that quick transition after you see it off the forward's foot to go, okay, now my body's going to go down, my head's going to come with it. And I think that is, if we can break it down like that to the kids, I think it makes a lot more sense versus just like, hey, you need to do it this specific way. But it's like, okay, if you realize it's going to dip at a certain point, head and hands have to go together. And I think once, at least I've showed my goalkeepers that, and they've like, oh, okay, that makes more sense. But still, that fear factor, it's almost better for them to get hit in the face at a young age. They go, oh, that's not as bad as I thought it was. So I think that's, yeah.
Wait, are you going to show us the technique right now?
Yeah. Oh, me or Omar? Omar's got 17 videos on the.
Stand up.
Mike, can you get hit in the face right now?
That would be. Oh my gosh! If we could,
I've had my share. I don't need to.
It would be nice to actually have a goalkeeper session right now. To be honest. Okay, I won't demo. I won't demo.
I've earned that right. I don't have to demo anymore.
By the way, Emily, it's finally nice to have somebody on the show who literally can hang with us and just not like just terrified, just like, oh, what did I just walk into?
On the note, I also think that it's a timing issue. I think that, these keepers, you're not getting hit with the ball and then or making the save, then going down because I told you to do it for Smother. And that's what you think. This is your body weights forward, you're attacking the ball, you're leaning into it and everything, and it's just it flows. And you get those kids and they're like, oh, catch, down. You know what I mean? Like, what are you doing, kid? Like there's no point to go down then. You already have the ball. So it's also understanding when to do this. We talk about that a lot, is when to use certain techniques. Like, you're not doing it just because I told you to do it. And I tell my keepers that in practice all the time. Like, if I hit a bad ball, which never happens, if I hit a bad ball, don't do the drill because I told you we were doing front smothers. Make the right save that's necessary for that situation, that ball I hit. Period.
And Saskia, to build off your point, I think a lot of times what I see at like camps or what I see in big groups is that because we want to give our goalkeepers as many reps as they can, we try and have them move from point A to point B, or, we tell them to, but finish the progression of the save. But I think sometimes with the idea that we want them to get as many reps as they can within a set exercise or set session, they don't finish the progression of seeing the ball all the way through. I think, Emily, from watching your highlights, one of the things that you do extremely, extremely well is like you almost hold for 1 second after you catch the ball, see it all the way through, as if that's the only thing you're worried about. And then once you finish that progression, that layer, then you move on to the next one. And I don't know if that's something that was instilled in you at a young age, or I don't know what it is, but just even watching some of those, it's just those little things that you realize, okay, at that next level, you really need to be mindful of one action before thinking about the next one. And I think as a coach, sometimes, for myself at least, I can sometimes be a protagonist of you do this and then go to here. And before they even move on to the next one, they're already throwing the ball out of their hands. And I think that idea and that mentality needs to be instilled in them at a young age. And I think us coaches can do a better job of it.
Yeah. I mean, I even feel like now sometimes I struggle with like, you have 3 balls in this set and then you're done. Like, first ball, you're like, catch out. And you're like, you just want to keep going.
Right.
Yeah. But like, my coach is always like, and I don't know, I texted him, so I hope that he's watching right now, but he might not be. But even like on Tuesday, he was like, you need to finish that ball.
Absolutely.
Because that ball is just as important as that ball. So like finish 1, then get to 2, then get to 3. But it's like, it's definitely more about like taking a breath after each ball. It's kind of like what I think of, like, okay, caught it, get rid of it, and then go as quick as I can to the next thing. Because like if you think just like reps, it's so easy just to be like, throw it and keep going.
Right, and we've talked about this. We talked about this the other week. Like the one thing that drives us all crazy is, a kid is more concerned about the speed they're going, or a person is more concerned about the speed they're going through a drill than the quality in which they're going through it. And so like you're catching the ball and you're giving me a shitty pass, excuse me, mom and dad, you're giving me a bad pass back, because you're just so focused on your next movement instead of taking that pause, taking that breath, make that save, finish that, do that, give me a good throwback because everything is training. from the distribution back to me, to the footwork, to everything, and then go on to the next one. And yes, I am going to call you out on the scrunchie. So, love it.
Wait, what color?
Sorry, I couldn't take my eyes off it. I was like, there's a scrunchie. There's scrunchie.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's a cow. Is it a cow scrunchie? Do you have a cow scrunchie on?
It's just yellow.
It's just
I wear my hair so tight when I train. Like literally, my hair feels like it's gonna rip off my head.
Yeah.
So when I'm not training, I have to like not wear. I have to wear
like bands. So you wear. No, I have.
Yeah, it's just like super loose. Like it's like my like little happy scrunchie.
Mike, can I Saskia, I know you love my videos. I know you love my videos, but
you want to bring up a video? Okay.
I'm talking about scrunchies right now.
No, but like I think I'll show you, Mike. Can you make me a host so quick?
Yeah. I can make you a host.
No, so I just like I'm going to show you two examples, but one is like Oliver Kahn in 2002 World Cup. I'll show you the mistake after, but even him at that level, you'll see right now. When even him at that level, he takes the half second to see it all the way through. It's like right here. Sees it all the way through, holds for 1 second, and then he goes to the next thing. I think that's super important for kids to see at the highest level. Like there's amazing saves, and then there's simple stuff like this where you see it all the way through. Look, he takes everything to the ground, and he takes it all the way down for a quick progression.
Yeah, you have to remember that pause during that play, like, you know, depending on how everything's going, that gives your team a break. It gives everybody a breath. I know a lot of people over-exaggerate the front smother and take, like, they'll catch the ball here and then go like this and then go down to the ground and lay on the ground. That drives me a little nuts, but you know, there's reasons for everything.
Hold on, can you go back to that? Is this a con spill of the smother right here? Because
this was the obviously like one of the biggest errors ever. I mean, dude, he won the Golden Glove. I think he won the best player of the entire World Cup. So I was just upset that he had to finish like this. But yeah, this is an idea of things like I don't know what it was specifically. It looked like he didn't kind of take a step towards the ball.
I called out that final was going to be that game was going to have a major keeper mistake.
Oh, it's just too good to be true. Had too good of a World Cup. But anyways, it looks like right here, like as he strikes it, I don't know if he didn't see it all the way through or what the issue was, but yeah, spill, boom. Yeah.
He also started like with his arms like behind his back.
Yeah, I agree with you. His whole entire intention was to do what he was doing. And his arms were way back. He had to bring them forward. Like, back it up. You're 100% right. Yeah.
I mean, to me,
I don't know. Go ahead.
It's like I
was going to say, so look at this. If you look at the motion right there, look, his shape is already in front of the flight as that ball. There's no way he's going to be able to contain that ball because he's not his shape. And this is why it's so important for me is eye line with shape, because if that nose and chin follow the ball, then you're going to be able to contain properly. And it just looks like he was ahead of the play already.
Did it hit off his leg?
Oh, did it?
I'm trying to see how
it could probably be.
It looks like his chest.
Left knee.
Left knee or chest?
I think it was just like a little bit of. Yeah, a little bit of both. You see, his left knee probably got in the way.
Apparently Oliver Kahn's never going on.
No, but I think also too, when it comes to these situations, though, I think that's why when I say different progressions, it's just such a fine margin between progression 1, 2, and 3. Like the first one would be obviously you want to secure it before going to the ground, and I think in this situation he tried to secure and go to the ground at the exact same time. So now he has no cushion to get to the ground, and now it's almost like you're like. That's why when we dive, we try to take a plant step so that at least we have something crutching us to the ground versus jumping off almost 2 legs and then like falling like a tree straight into the ground. So I think here it's almost like he had no legs because he was going straight down without going through those progressions of securing, falling, and then going on top of it.
Right,
so,
but here's my issue that I've said to you so many times is if he did not have to go to the ground, then don't go to the ground. If you could have bent over and taken care of this, I'm sorry, maybe he couldn't have. But what I'm saying is now you're on the ground. Guess what? Now you're getting up a rebound. Now you got to get up from the ground to try to recover for the rebound. And that is an added problem. And so, you know, you don't want to add extra situations into everything. Look, it's Oliver Kahn. It is what it is. I mean, come on, let's back up a second. But what I'm saying is, you know, I know we're talking about the front smother, but sometimes just bend over and freaking scoop up the ball. That's it. Well, you don't have to go to the ground.
So I want to bring this up with them right here because you said you're working with little, younger keepers and stuff like that. I think a lot of them are we and Sas, you bring this up all the time that kids take things very literal.
Wow.
So if you say smother the ball, they're literally going to leap on a ball and just try to sit up.
Everything.
They'll try to smother everything, as opposed to recognize the drop of the ball and say, okay, well, maybe I'm better off to be in this situation where I stay on my feet slightly. Because as you know, as a pro player right now playing at an extremely high level, if you're already in a position, well, yeah, okay, you're playing at the highest level.
As if there was a higher
Mike.
Backing me up.
I got you.
You know what I mean. You know what I mean. At the highest level, when you're still on your feet, you've got that eye line for distribution much better, and you don't have to take that beat to get up and your team. You've already scanned the field. You already kind of know what situation you're in, right? I've made a mess of that. You know what I mean? Though.
Yeah, but no. Listen, my thought process it had collected that clearly, we'd never be talking about it, and he would have just laid on top of it and smothered and stuff like that. He bobbled the ball, but now he's on the ground, and now it makes it harder for him to get up for the rebound. The ball got buried on. Do I think there are different ways to handle those situations? Yes. Do I think you always have to do a front smother? No. Do I think there are times that you can stay on your feet? Absolutely. So it's not cut and dry.
Mike, I think I've told this story, I think, a few times. I don't know if it's on the podcast here, but my goalkeeper coach in the past, he was very American, European style. So anything Hispanic, Mexican was completely out of question. And I remember there were times, again, I told you about it before, about how he would say how many Mexican goalkeepers are in the Premier League? 0. How many American goalkeepers in the Premier League? Of more than Mexican goalkeepers. So do it the American way. And there were times where I would drop both. I know, ridiculous. I got the point, though. He made a good point. I was just like, okay. I'm 15.
Literally the most xenophobic coach I can think of.
No, but so
he's telling this to kids too. I know. Oh God.
But then there were times too where I would make that same error, and for him to make his point, he would say, "Look, I want to have myself around the 18, and I'm going to be on my feet, and you're going to be on your knees. You're going to have to chase me around here on your knees. If you're able to touch or tag me, Omar, I will get you a scholarship to whatever college you want." And for the first, there was a guy on our team who almost caught him, which was freaking hilarious. But for me, I couldn't. So I'm trying. I'm like, you know what? This looks stupid. And he's like, well, how do you think it looks when you're going down with both knees to scoop a ball? It doesn't look good. So then again, same thing we talk about all the time is always trying to give yourself as many options as you possibly can to make a save. And when you have both knees on the ground or both feet in the air, exactly, even both feet in the air too.
Are allowed to touch the ground.
No knees. Yeah. I think I walk around when that happens. I don't even look at the kid. I'm just like, no knees on the ground, please. No knees on the ground. It's just why?
But Mike, so now I'm gonna again. You guys, look. I watched so much footage that I have literally an encyclopedia. Oh, I do. European championships. I think it was the Iceland goalkeeper. I'll show you guys right now.
You gotta start getting some women's clips up, by the way.
Oh, you're about to see it right now. Are you kidding me? Hold on.
Shots fired.
I've been posting women's content every 3 days on my channel, which is it's a lot. I've been posting it a lot. Every third day. It's a sequence.
Unfortunately, every third day I'm on some other Zoom call, so I missed it.
No, but I'm trying my best to post as many women's highlights as I possibly can.
Mouth. I messed up. Go ahead.
I like how Emily said that too. She's like, every third day. Oh, how thank you so much for doing that. Thank you. Which I did.
I didn't post it that much before, and we had somebody, AC come on.
Ariana Fusione from PSG.
Everybody who's anybody has called me out, and I didn't even know that was a thing that I wasn't doing. But now that I know, I've been making it a point. So that's why I've been watching a lot more women's highlights.
We'll make it every other day, one day.
I could try, but we'll see. It's just I have my own content to post, and I have women's content, then I have other highlights.
Wait, hold on. Women's content's not considered your own content? Is that what you're saying, Omar?
No, it is, but I have my own sessions.
Oh my God! Play the clip. I even forgot what we were talking about.
Okay.
Something about somebody on their knees. Wait a minute, though. So when you're going to show somebody on their knees, you're going to put up a woman's clip?
Oh, wait, hold on.
It's effective.
Okay.
Oh.
So Khan just flubs a forward smother, but now it's let's look at really a big debacle. Let's put out.
You have to watch the clip, Saskia, before you say anything. You're coming at me before you even see. Okay, ready? We good? So watch this.
Okay.
So she gets away with it here. And what I mean by this is like, this is what I used to do, is I almost tried to time it perfectly, where as a shot came, both of my knees and all my body was behind it.
Hips back down.
Yeah, so you see right there, like it's almost like it's hitting her, and not that she's surprised, but it's like almost it's coming in and she's smothering it.
I don't know that's the greatest front smother, but go ahead.
I've seen.
No, it's not.
I see kids do this all the time.
I think your knees are down way too early. I think that you have to use your body weight and your strength, and you need to hold yourself up longer.
No, absolutely. Yeah, that's why the reason why I'm showing it is because like it's like there are multiple ways to get the job done. If you're comfortable doing it this way, I mean, like if I was able to prove to my coach,
comfortable doing it that way, don't do it.
Don't do it, because I 100% agree. And look at this, Omar. If this ball bounces off her arm, she was lucky to hold it. She had trouble controlling. If that bounces off her arm, where is she now? She's on both her knees on the ground, and then she's you chasing around your coach on your knees trying to tag it.
I'm happy YouTube. I'm happy like this YouTube content, or like how accessible it is now, was not available back then, because I would have probably seen this. He would have probably had an iPad, pulled this up every time I did it. Like, look, this is what it's gonna look like. But as I'm saying, like there are techniques that people use. Let me just play it while we're talking. There are techniques that people use where I'm like, as a coach, I'm like, don't change that. But if this goalkeeper who's, let's say, 26, 27 years old, and it's effective, like it's going to be difficult for me to try and change that. So there's like different periods where you can in someone's career that you can adapt or have them to accept new ideas and adapt to that change. But in this situation, I'd probably try to change it and try to give her advice. But what happens if I give her new advice and she's trying to adapt, and then in a game a week later, that same situation happens, she's trying to throw out all of my techniques and try to do that, and she messes up. You know what I mean? So I don't want to overload goalkeepers too often, but if there's an opportunity to show that and help them within like a month, 2-month period in an off season to really develop the new technique, then so be it.
Okay, well go ahead, Saskia.
If you show any goalkeeper, I think if you were to sit her down and show her that and slow that down and explain to her why, although from a distance looked like a solid front smother, why it wasn't. Like what could have gone wrong in that?
What if it hits a divot right before?
Right, and she actually struggled to hold it. Like it wasn't.
For the record, I'm not advising to do it like that. I'm just saying, so I don't want to be like devil's advocate. But what I am saying is that was a clip to show you. Yeah.
Hold on. M's coach is watching right now. If at tomorrow's session they're doing,
it's all front smothers.
It's all front smothers. It's all to the knee.
I'll tell you, I've got a story for you. Okay. I was, my arrogant little self, and I was we were coaching Soccer Plus Camp, Tony and Chico. We were down in Houston, and it was hot. It's Houston, and the Adidas shirts, the yellow, and they had the black 3 stripes or whatever. Anyway, it was hot, so I cut the sleeves off. 4 goalkeepers wore short sleeve shirts. So I would like to say I started that trend, but who knows? So I come out to practice, and everybody's like, "Oh, short sleeve goalkeeper shirt, right?" And I was just like, "Dude, it's hot." And I'm like, "And why do we need sleeves anyway? We know how to dive correctly." So Tony continued to put me in as the demo for front smothers for 30 minutes in the grass in Houston. Front smother. Man, I was blood everywhere. And I was like, yeah, how often does this happen again? But they actually told that story, and my heart goes out, and this makes me joke. They told that story on the street. So it was kind of an epic moment, because I was like, I don't need sleeves.
What's worse, cold turf?
Oh,
short sleeves.
Yeah.
Ooh, I don't know. Shorts on hot turf. I think shorts on hot turf.
Yeah, but turf is so much different now than it was back then.
Oh yeah, you guys played on cement.
Yeah, we played on like a carpet laid on top of cement.
They're like roller derbies taking place too.
Like we painted the cement green.
That's what we've been training on in quarantine. Literally cement slab with a centimeter of turf on top.
Really? Oh boy.
Because it's the only open park in Chicago, and my coach was like, "So have you been training goalkeeper? I see you're doing a lot of passing." And I'm like, "Have you seen the field that I'm on?"
You're like, "Have I been training throwing like?" I went out front a bunch of times, and threw myself up and got on the cement.
So
I
don't want to throw anyone under the bus, but I've been doing Barney's Techne app, and I did it the wrong type of surfaces. I did some of the hitting the ground
stuff.
stuff.
Yourself under the bus?
Yeah, I guess I'm throwing myself under the bus because I was doing some of the hitting the groundwork outside in my garage or my dad's garage, and that's not a good idea. Maybe that's why my back hurts.
Maybe that's why your neck hurts. Maybe Em should have done that, and she'd be ready for the turf she's playing on.
Yeah. All right, let's veer back to the front smother here.
We're still on the front.
Emily, when you're working with youngers, how do you go about teaching the smother in a way that they get what you want them to do?
So I feel like the simplest way for me to like break it down, most important thing is like you have to be low, kind of like what she was saying. And the easiest way I feel like for a goalkeeper to be comfortable with this front smother is with one foot that's more forward. I don't always do it that way, but it's easier to learn when you're first doing it. Like say, okay, if it's off to your right side, then your right foot will come forward and you're almost stepping into it then versus like having to have them fall into it. So it's like you've got that like front leg like bent and forward, and then you're pushing off your back leg and you're just kind of landing in your scoop position is kind of like how I break down like the easiest front smother. And then obviously when you get kind of like higher level or older kids, they can get more comfortable coming more centrally, just with the like a set position straight down and forward, because that's kind of how we do it, at least. Like I don't love to be like, if it's central, I don't like to teach kids like you have to have your right foot forward and left foot forward. Like try and get comfortable just coming straight down. But yeah,
I'm glad you brought up the forward foot, because one of the things, again, when we're talking about literal kids taking things literally, is front smother as in I need to go direct every single time. And as we all understand, you want to angle your smother so that you're playing it away from pressure. So if the ball's coming in here and there's a shooter that's chasing that ball right there, if you smother into it and you make a mess of it, well, now there's a second ball situation, they're going to put it in. But if you angle that smother away, which I have a lot of trouble doing personally, you're going to be much more advantageous in that recovery phase. So I'm glad you brought that up. Do you ever
avoid that foot to your face, if it's coming in there?
Yeah. Do you guys ever have issues in regards to when you're teaching the smother, the fact that kids, they want to make themselves big and they might want to make a nice solid pocket, but their hands just aren't far enough down, and so the ball keeps going underneath. Anyone want to tackle that?
Well, that's when you need. What? That's when you need to, like Emily said, when you're teaching them, it's kind of like a wide stance. It's kind of like a.
Come on, do it for us. Come on.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. As much as you want it to, it's not gonna happen. I thought about it though. I was like, should I just turn it and go in the living room and do this? It's not gonna happen. I should though. And that teaches them. And I'll just move forward. That teaches them to get their hips down fast and everything. I think the thing that I found is with kids, young kids myself, is their timing. Is they just don't get it. Whether it's a front smother off a short hop, especially anything off a short hop, they don't get the ball's bouncing up, it's coming up too high, then they end up catching it like this. They're halfway in the air and they're diving forward and they're landing on their arms. I am a good coach, by the way. I think that it's more on the timing of when to use it, how to use it, and when to get your hips down and everything. It's not, although it looks easy, I think that it's misused a lot.
Okay, so let's talk about that. Let's talk about, you were just brought up the situations. It's a situational. And again, one of the issues that I have a lot of issues with is that a lot of kids, they'll only do what an activity is calling for them in a session, because they're not thinking from a game standpoint. They're not thinking from a reality standpoint of this is really what's happening. The biggest excuse I get, which I can't stand, is we were working on front smothers. Like, yeah, but the ball went laterally. It's like, yeah. He's like, but we're working on front smothers. So I'm like, yeah, is that what you're going to put in the game? Are you going to say that to the striker? Hold on. you were going to hit a front smother on me. Like, what? No. So, I think kids need to be more improvisational. And we talked about this over and over again. Emily, obviously at your level, no coach is going to berate you and go like, you should use this technique if you kept the ball out of the net, right? Okay.
Depends on the coach.
Okay.
No, but I feel like in terms of like, even when I'm in a place that I'm uncomfortable, say like it's a US camp and you don't know the coaches and this and that, and you want to please them, and they say front smother, but they mishit the ball so horribly, and you're trying to like shuffle and get your body behind it and get your front smother in because you don't want to make your coaches mad or whatever. I feel like I always tell my kids, like, I'm going to mess up as much as you're going to mess up.
Thank you.
And if my serve is bad, then just do what you would do normally. If it's not hard enough for a front smother, scoop it up. But if I hit it and you don't front smother it and it goes through your arms and through your legs and it goes through the goal, then you're going to have to run there and back because that was obviously you needed a front smother there. But like.
Exactly. And that's what I said about not people taking things too literally. Yeah. Oh, I have to front smother. I have to front smother. No, you don't. Like, I'm not perfect. And I tell my kids the same thing. I'm going to shank the ball. Just deal with it when I do. Like, don't shuffle over in front smother. Like, that's not what it's called. And that's not what it's called for. Then you look,
catches it up here.
Then you look like it. Yeah, then you're catching it up here. It's like a cross because I shanked it so bad. And then you're coming down to the front smother. And I'm standing there going, like, you got to be kidding me, right? Like, have a mind. Please.
Yeah.
So Omar, in what situations should you, and again, guys, I know some of this stuff sounds, very, very foundational, very routine, but there's a lot of parents listening to this episode right now, mainly because Emily's on here and they were excited about that. So can we break down kind of the scenarios you should be going into the front and when you should be going into the lateral? Omar.
Again, you probably need like video footage to kind of describe it.
Well, I'm sure you got some.
I don't have any more. So no, but I think again, it's like
17 minutes of Emily's front smothering or anything.
I looked everywhere. There's like one or two front smothers, but nothing like the angles that they showed weren't like enough for us to break it down. But no, I think again, it's a very situational. And then I think us as coaches understanding the actions prior to using the front smother is extremely important. And obviously at a young age, there's like foundational pieces and sessions that you want to do so that they get the idea of what the technique should look like. But something that I've probably been not a victim of, but like something that I haven't done well is being patient enough to let them fail in sessions. Because this idea that when they come into my sessions, I want them to have a great experience. And sometimes when you fail, they're going to leave the session going, I hated that. When really they need that. And all of us who've obviously played at the levels we've played at, we needed those failures over and over and over for us to actually get the timing right. So I think, yes, I build the foundational pieces, but then I probably just hit a variety of shots, whether it's a bouncing ball that I'm hitting off a volley or a drop kick or taking a touch and putting it in the little bubble right there. I think that's super important. And when I communicate with the goalkeepers, I'll say, hey, I'm aiming for the bubble. And what I mean by that is that everything obviously 1 or 2 yards outside of you is going to be very important. So when I shoot this ball, if it falls one step over, you need to decide quickly if it's one little step, you have enough time to take one little step and then turn it into a front dive, or can you sweep your legs and use your feet or use your hands to get that ball? So I think, again, just showing them a variety of angles and variety of shot selections is extremely important for them to have those quick decision-making opportunities.
I love what you just said, Omar, because it was just making me think about the fact that, like, I don't want goalkeepers to think there's only four options.
Sorry, that was a joke. Go ahead.
Wait, is someone getting a drink? Someone getting?
I
totally missed that aspect.
Sorry.
I love how I was like trying to be all.
You know me. I've been in lockdown for 4 months. I'm sorry.
I know this is the loopiest episode I think we may have ever done. No, my concern is like with kids is like they think that there's only like 4 options for them. 3 or 4 options in every scenario, as opposed to like letting their imagination run wild and just say, look, everything that we work on, we're giving you tools so that you can make a decision and you can be autonomous when you get in the game and you decide what's going to be the most secure decision for you in the game. Like, I'm sure, Emily, when a shot's coming at you, you don't think, well, now's the time for me to front smother. It's like, no, you adjust your body shape based on the flight of the ball, right?
I'm like, crap, this is coming in fast. I better get my body behind it.
I just said that. I was like, if she thought all that, the ball's in the back of the net.
Yeah. But Mike, I think it's
front smothers for me is all about speed. If it's anything slightly faster than comfortable, I'm probably gonna front smother, even unnecessarily. Who cares? Do it. Take your time. There's definitely a goalkeeper in the league that really likes to front smother and just lay on the ball for 10 minutes. I'm sure you can guess who it is, but yeah.
No, and I agree with you 100%. I think for me, front smother was about speed and the range of the ball, where the ball was in accordance to like the height off the ground, whether it was taking a short skip and coming up with speed and everything. I needed to get more of my body behind it, or that it's just it's below that waist, it's at a certain height. I didn't like doing front smothers if I didn't have to, period. And so it would definitely be out of necessity. I wouldn't be the one to do a front smother, lay on the ground, and a minute and a half later get up and maybe side volley. It's wave. Nobody blows a whistle because it was a save 5 minutes ago. I'm not about that either. I mean, I get that with gamesmanship at times, towards the end of a game if you're trying to waste time.
Yeah, there's definitely players that'll do that, and it's just
but not all the time, man.
I would do it at the end of a game.
Yeah, like I said, that's
my team's tired. Yeah, lay down there. Oh gosh, I need to tie my shoe while I'm down here.
Yeah, but there's a difference between gamesmanship and just irritating me here.
At least
you have to do it in the first 10 minutes of the game. Now you're just upsetting me, and now I don't want.
My favorite though is the keeper who in the 90th minute catches the cross, no pressure on them whatsoever, and then they drop to the ground and start rolling around. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, well that might be a bit much. Yeah. That might be a bit much.
Love how goalkeepers get hurt. I'm like,
oh, it happens.
You don't get touched the whole game, and whenever you see a goalkeeper on the men's side, Omar, deal with it, get clipped a little bit, it's like. Bring out the helivac.
Oh,
oh my God. It's devastating. I'm like, you're not glass.
But I've exaggerated just so that the ref knows that player's going into me every single time. That's why I've done it before. Hey.
I'm definitely the opposite. I'm like, I'm going to hit you harder back.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's why you're playing at the highest level.
Exactly.
And I'm sitting here with a back injury.
Yeah, it's hey, there's a shoulder. You want to come back? Bring that back. And you'll get a shoulder and elbow in your jaw. And you'll never come back again.
Were you wondering if I had medals on? I could let you know.
Yeah. See?
I want to talk about
men, women. The difference. We're bring it.
Omar's I'm going to definitely, like Emily said, it's going to have to be every other day now is a women's highlight. I want to talk about the mental aspect because I think that's one of the biggest issues when I've been teaching the smother to a lot of kids is that mental aspect of the ball going through them. They're really, really scared about the ball going through them. And it's easier for them to move laterally and just throw their body and try to get their body behind the ball than to try to go down and collect a ball and keep that shape behind the ball. I think another thing too that I want to bring up is the flatness of the palms. This is one of the biggest issues I see with the kids is they don't curl that shape to make that containment. It's a flat palm, and so the ball rebounds off every time.
I'm really broken this down.
Well, I'm trying to, because one of the things is one of the reasons I've thought about the forward smother is because the fact is I feel like it's kind of disappearing. I think a lot of kids now, they're so enamored with watching the big prime pros like Emily, going down and going into block saves, and they think that that's the situation to go into a block, and they'll immediately default when a ball has any sort of movement. They'll immediately default to a block to just keep their body behind the ball rather than to being able to contain that ball. Have you noticed that, Em?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like people have gone away from catching the ball also. They just don't really try that hard to keep the ball in bounds. But But yeah, kind of like what you were saying about kids being nervous about going down and keeping it or it not going through you. I feel like that all starts from like your elbows. And if like your elbows are tight, then you're fine. And I am definitely someone that could have the hardest time with that because my shoulders are twice as wide as the rest of my body. So I cannot physically pull my elbows in. So I always use that as my excuse. But
what?
Like if you're, I'm gonna show you.
Oh, she's gonna show us.
I'm like,
This
what?
is the best.
Okay.
Are you like Michael? You know, because my wingspan's longer than my body.
Your
right?
shoulders are here, right? And
I know where they
hips,
are. Yeah.
And my hips are narrower than my shoulders, when maybe other people are more straight.
Wait till you get in your 40s.
So to pull my elbows in, it's hard because my shoulders are so wide. But that's when you just have to come more forward, and then that's when they can like touch more. If that makes sense.
I can see
so
it.
I always tell my kids, if I can do it, you can do it, because my shoulders are twice as wide as yours.
Interesting.
So it's just about getting like my shoulders more rounded this way. My coach always talks about like I can't be too straight up this way. I have to like kind of come more in to be able to bring my elbows to touch.
No,
that's how I feel the most secure, at least when I'm
How
doing.
about your wingspan? So, like, for me, like Michael Jordan, my wingspan is longer than my height. So normally, hey, kids out there, normally from tip to index finger to index finger with your wingspan is the same as your height. So if you're 5'9", this is 5'9" across. I'm not. I'm 6 feet across. So
I think I'm the same. I think I'm 6 feet
so
here.
I'm longer.
And
like
5'9".
Michael Jordan, that's why he had the picture wings.
Yeah.
His was longer too. Just saying.
Oh, Omar, are you going to use this as a breakdown video on Pro GK Academy?
Maybe. We'll see. We'll see.
But you don't understand. I totally agree with you. It's harder to get things done when you've got more arms to deal with.
You've brought up a really good point that I actually never even thought about. The fact is that when you have the taller, longer, lankier type of goalkeeper, it is going to be more difficult for them to be able to do that because of the added length. When you're a tiny little thing like me, it's very easy for me to get into that little pocket shape. I'm already in
that little compact shape. Think about it. Like when you have a 6 foot goalkeeper, and especially a kid that's still growing out of their awkwardness. It's a weird thing to go with those long legs and everything, and kind of getting those hips down, bending, low center of gravity, getting that scoop under, getting your elbows close, getting down. When you've got this like little, pocket dynamo that's like 5'4", it's like boom, down. It's like quick.
Yeah.
It's the best you're getting out of me.
No. That's pretty good. That was pretty good. Boom, boom. Omar, where are your demos, Omar?
I'm sitting at my desk. I don't have much space behind me, so
just put up a green screen of a goal in a field, and then you can do a perfect demo. Yeah.
Emily, you're giving me some great sketch ideas right here. Omar, let's talk about smothering in traffic, because this is one of those situations where a lot of kids are defaulting to go down to the ground and just block rather than contain and smother. What advice do you give kind of to the kids there to understand how to deal with the pressure, smother away from that pressure right there, and still contain the ball?
No, I think I kind of want to go back to points that were made earlier. I think with Oliver Kahn and Emily was talking about kind of that jump that he had, and we talk about it with like Neuer, Kepa, Ter Stegen. Kind of they have their arm swing and they try and time it perfectly, but before we could even talk about the front smother and the actual technique being used, it's like maybe even filming sessions and showing the goalkeeper what their movement looks like prior. And then once we kind of know what their movement looks like prior, we can make an assessment as to maybe when you improvise, making sure that your body, or not improvise, when you decide to use this technique, just making sure that movement prior to the shot is giving you the best chance to use a variety of saves. Because too many times we've seen goalkeepers with their arms go backward and then almost having to hurry the arms back. So now there's no cohesiveness, or there's no like symmetry with the body, and everything's moving kind of at a separate time. And when you have that miscalculation of time, then from there you can't really smother it and really secure it. So I think before we even get to securing it through traffic, understanding that concept, and then once you have it through traffic, then it's also from there, because you've opened up a variety of saves available to you. Now you can choose, okay, is this ball based on where the runners are coming from, if they're converging super quick, is this one of those ones that I just help it on its way and try and get it out for a throw-in? Or is this one of those ones that I've seen even myself when I played, where I kind of had an idea that I was going to drop this, so I steered it into a safe direction. So at the very least, if I couldn't jump back on it, it's outside the post, and then I could try and at least get it out for a corner kick. So I think it's just, understanding the situations, and can us as coaches, if we have 5 goalkeepers in a session, make, someone shooting the ball, and then we have 4 or 5 runners converging and trying to, put pressure on the goalkeeper. And then from there, once they've seen it in training and they have an idea of what their psyche is like when they have that pressure coming from the peripheral, then they can decide, okay, maybe I should steer this one. Maybe I should try and hold it. Maybe this is one that I'm probably going to get hit in the head if I drop it. So I need to be ready to pounce back on it. So I think it's just, with our session designs as coaches, allowing those goalkeepers to see those situations over and over. And then from there, they have a better idea of when to apply the technique.
And do you ever do that while you're in a situation, kind of realize like, okay, you know what, maybe I made the wrong decision, and instead of making a mess of this, I'm just going to try to steer this ball, keep my shape as much in front of post as possible, so that spill goes into a place where I can make that recovery movement?
Yes. I mean, you definitely want, if you can't keep control of what you're doing, get it to a place where either it's going to be really far away and it's out and it's, out of danger, or put it in a place where that you'll be able to be the next one to be able to touch it, for sure. Yeah.
One thing I've seen a lot of too, and I don't know how, but if you guys notice this as well too, a lot of kids, they just, in a smother, is they're not focused on the ball, they're focused on the movement. And because they're focused on the movement, the ball ends up going through them. So I think that one of the issues that's something that I've been trying to do with kids, and by the way, the shoulders thing, Emily, that's awesome, because I'd never even thought about that before in regards to in your shoulder, when you roll your shoulders in and you tuck them in tighter, it's going to make it easier for that compact shape. I've been having them start in a neutral position, as I know you had talked about, coming forward or whatever, but just getting comfortable at just staying behind the ball, letting the ball come to them, and then containing the ball. Is that something that you've ever done with youngers?
I feel like, yes, trying to just get them more comfortable with the movement as a whole with the ball obviously is important. But yeah, like I said, I feel like it kind of goes from comfortable here to comfortable coming forward to comfortable kind of doing the whole movement, like kind of break it down. Yeah.
And go ahead, Omar.
No, I think to Emily's point of like kind of rounding the shoulders a little bit, when you round the shoulders and kind of have your posture more downward, it forces your head to come downward as well. So we just always talk about hand-eye coordination with every save. And like I said, with Emily's, when she catches the ball, she really, you can tell like the textbook shape of where her head is supposed to be in accordance to her hands after she catches the ball. The hand-eye coordination is on point, and it makes your hands that much more it makes it stronger, but it makes them more convincing that once you catch the ball, you can actually have everything with you. So same with that is if when you round your shoulders, letting the goalkeepers know that this is the cause of it, this is what can be a benefit of it, is your head comes down as well and you have better hand-eye coordination. So telling the kids also to just breaking it down for them so they understand the why behind everything that we do. And I think for us goalkeepers, there's always a why for why we teach stuff. And I think as long as we can communicate it with that, then they'll have a better understanding of kind of just that concept.
Yeah, I want to take this to Saskia right here, because one of the things that I've recognized a lot of times is, and we've talked about this too before, is that staying too high. We've talked about this before. Is if a kid's not starting in a proper set position, set shape, it's going to be very difficult for them to drop. So how do we help them? We're like Emily, you brought up the hip flexors before, right? So it's that hinge movement, that hip drop back.
I was telling you needed to stretch your hip.
Oh, I need the hips.
Can she be on every time, please?
I know, this is you fit in great right here.
But Mike, so one thing that I do when I talk to my kids.
I thought that was a question from me.
Oh, shoot, sorry.
No, I'm kidding, Omar. Go ahead.
Am I good?
Yeah.
Am I clear? No, so I'll bring it back to you. But no, but one thing I do, I tell my kids is like, when you do a squat in the gym or when you're trying to get low, you have to have some opening in your legs to create depth so you can go down. So same idea too. I see a lot of kids who are like super, super neutral when they go down for a front smother. And like we talked about earlier, they don't have a specific angle, which is why at least taking that step. Sometimes you don't have the opportunity to take the directional step, but if you can, it at least pushes your body from landing on both your knees forward to at least giving you a cushion to go right or left. And I think the only way you can actually do that is to have that separation or a little bit opening in your legs so your body has space to sink in. So that's like the best way that I explain it to them. And I think that is, it's made sense to them. And I think it's conceptualized it a little bit more for them.
No, I agree, but I also think the mechanics of that's off. I'm sorry, Omar. I love you. But to tell a kid that if you're doing a squat in the gym, that's a flat-footed squat. So
no. But the idea of opening up so you can sink in, not like the specific of why you a specific as it pertains to a squat, but it's more of like when you do squat, you need to open your legs to sink in. The same thing with the front smother, so that you can actually have space when you step to sink your body down, so it all goes down together.
I 100% agree, but I also think what Em described, and I'm still not gonna do it, is it's that open step. So it's not so uniformed. It's not here's my set position. I'm gonna bend my knees, my hip, my weight forward, and I'm gonna go into the front smother. When you're teaching kids, and actually how I like doing a front smother, to be honest with you, is I do like kicking one leg out. I do like stepping and opening up a little more, and it gets my hips down faster. Whether it's to the right or whether it's to the left. I also can come around the ball more instead of being so compact that I can't get here. So if I'm still trying. So if
I'm about to get up too, don't worry.
If I have that wider step, right, and I open up my right leg, I can come around, still get my hips down and get everything under and cover more space with the front step.
So Saskia, but like I'm 100% with you, and I think if we were showing it on the field, it would look exactly the same. The same.
Yeah.
And I think the thing though sometimes is that even when we do regular low dives, I see even kids that I have, their step is so small that there's no space in between their legs so they can sink down. So that's the only comparison I have with like a squat is like your butt needs to get down, and the way for your butt to get down is the space. But that's what I said. I conceptualize it also with like the dive too. It's like if you take a step and it's not big enough, there's no space for your body to sink in, and you can't really go and get down to that ball.
You can't control it.
Exactly.
Like I mean, either you're too tight, so you're like a tree, if you're tall, falling over, or you're just kicking out and stuff. And the bottom line is, the more that you can control that power step, your collapse dive, your front smother, the less physical pain your body goes through, unless you're on crappy turf. So it's like those are things kids have to learn. I 100% agree with you. If that step is too tight, you're limiting everything.
Do you take a lateral step before to try to create more space when
first front smother?
Yeah.
If it's not exactly in front of me, then yeah. I feel like it's always like kind of what she was saying. You kind of like step out to come through this way.
Yeah.
Because you're not really like ever really coming just directly forward unless it's like perfect. But yeah.
I think that's one of
with the way the movement of the balls are now, like you're gonna have to.
Yeah.
But I think that's one of the mistakes that a lot of kids make, and by kids I mean myself, is that when I'm training, I will straight up, and when I'm playing men's league, is that I will straight up go into a collapse that I did not need to go into, that I could have gone into a forward smother and contained it and been a little bit cleaner for it, because the shot was coming in, it was breaking inside at me as opposed to breaking away from me, and by actually taking that step laterally too far and trying to go into a collapse, I actually opened up and exposed the space for the ball to go underneath me. And that's a big issue that I've had myself.
I do feel like there's like a very fine line between like, when can I move in behind it and still get comfortably a front smother, and then when is it just like an inch too far to where it's like so uncomfortable and you can't get behind it and you're almost like swinging your whole body and it just doesn't work, to where you just sometimes do need to just kick out. And I feel like that's the most uncomfortable place, is it's like, am I kicking out or am I stepping in?
And that's a really hard thing to teach kids, because there is that gray zone between your foot and a little bit out. And it's like, do I take that quick step, do the front smother, how do I kick out because of the pace of the ball? And a lot of times, because of how tight that ball is, if it's in that weird space, kicking, you're not going to get down fast enough. Like kicking out and going down. So, and technically the front smother is the best way because your hands are already reaching. So your hands are already going to the ball. That's just a tough one.
We should honestly do. We should have done the Zoom call on the field where we could all have had.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I feel like this would have made a lot more sense. It's like we're all trying to do our best to
We're all
do an
like,
example.
let me get some dolls out or something.
Emily's roommate's like, that's the last time I'm coming for ice. I can't keep watching this.
I'm like, I'll get one of my dogs, start throwing balls, and see if they can figure it out.
Oh,
but I'm like, I think it's like it's like again. Can I just show you a clip of Emily? 2 clips.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Only if it's a good one.
There's 2 good
so
ones.
Here's a clip of Emily. It's like the
Emily, do you think that if he dissed you right now, I would blast him? And
I never diss people. I always give maybe the Barcelona goalkeeper, I show them off like in the wrong light. But no, I think again. So like we talked about earlier, it's just that it's.
Yeah.
I forgot.
One that kept messing up.
The poor kid from Barcelona.
Hold on. Can you see?
Emmy kept showing some 16-year-old kid from Barcelona like, over and over.
Okay, so like Emily was saying, is that it's just it's almost like a feeling and such a fine margin when there's like different zones.
College tape, man. You went deep.
I mean, what I can find. So I mean,
pro tape. So yeah. Good choice.
No, but before I show it, is like.
Who are you talking to? I have 8mm.
Saskia, I want to see some of your highlights. I definitely want to shout you
up.
up.
Convert it from 8mm. Calm down.
Well, see, I would be posting every single day if you sent me your highlights, but I have to do it every third day because I'm waiting on you. What's going on?
Mom and Dad to send my VHS tapes.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Omar.
we'll talk off camera. So before I show you this thing, it's like prefacing the different zones, and it's like as you get more experience in the game, you have the ability to know off like a feeling of when they step into a new zone. Is it a foot save? Can I activate the foot saves? Is it too far away for a foot save to be used? Maybe I have to sweep my feet and use my hands. So this is more about the decision making, not necessarily about the front smother, but essentially just showing you almost 2 similar clips, but the fine margins of choosing which technique to use.
Em, do you know what he's about to show?
I think so.
So one more time, I'll go slow.
My
so from
splits.
here, from this angle, it's a good distance to use the foot save because less time to react.
It's great because
right?
you have the shape covering post right there.
Good. Very similar position. Great save right here. So just because obviously here it's a little bit closer, but it's just that literally like 2 yards where almost, I don't know if Emily, this is how it happens with you, but for me at least, it's like subconsciously once someone steps into a different zone, I'm like, okay, foot saves activated. Like I kind of have an idea of what I'm gonna need for my toolbox in that very moment. So here again, 2 or 3 yard difference. But as it comes into this space, it's like, okay, I can use my feet, but I'm going to keep my posture at a good rate. So if it goes up, I'm good.
Because you can cover your whole width of your goal where you're at with just one step.
Yep.
Exactly.
Meaning your foot. Yeah.
So here, perfect.
What's funny though, I will be honest with you,
Is it funny that I just saved against UCLA? Is that what you're gonna say?
I actually have been texting. Yeah, all right. No, but now you threw me off. What was the final score of this game? Oh wait, isn't it 1-0?
That's what I said.
Okay, just checking. I wasn't the coach yet. My point was going to be is that the mentality and the difference in coaches is that I didn't even, when we were talking before, I didn't even say, oh, well, when you're in that gray area, you can use your foot. Because, I was never taught to use my feet. Do you see what I'm saying? Yes, in distribution and stuff like that, but it was like, how fast can you get down? How fast can you get your hands to the ball? Control the ball, hold on to the ball, no rebounds, no this, and everything like that. And so, my mind didn't even go to, oh, yeah, well, when you're in that gray area, keep your foot out. So I'm just saying, the difference in thought processes there.
No, Saskia, I think to your point, too, I was never taught the foot saves. Not that I was never taught it, but it was more frowned upon.
You had the MAGA goalkeeper coach over there.
Don't say that. Don't say that. But poor guy. I'm sure one episode he listens to is this one, and you should make that comment. But no, the thing is, even block saves, I was never taught the block save. I was never taught, I was never advised to do a kick save. And I'm sure we can all attest to this. It was always off of just a feeling. Like when somebody got to a position where, okay, the only way I can block everything around me is by dropping my knee. Exactly. And that's what I think, though. I think we need to get back to that. And I think, again, Anthony White from Bournemouth, he said it the best is there's technique and isolation, but that technique has to be turned into a skill. Because if it's just a technique, you're not going to know when to use it and how to use it. But if it's a skill and you can use that technique or even have multiple techniques and know when to use those, that's the number one thing. So again, that's like the biggest thing for us, for me, at least for my session structure, is I don't care if they fail anymore. It's more of just, you fail, you need to figure it out. Like, you need to see this over and over and over, but wouldn't you rather fail now in training sessions like this, where it's a controlled environment, you can manage your emotions, versus in a game where you have no idea how to react or even how to bounce back from those. So I think that's the important thing, and is just very important nowadays.
I think you're bringing up something that regards to what Emily was saying in regards to logic. You're saying, like, look, with one step, I can cover the entire width of the goal to my near post right there by just taking that step, and the ball's coming fastest to my foot. So that reaction of going with my feet, and again, it was something that was frowned upon, when I was growing up.
I don't necessarily it was frowned upon. It was just something. It wasn't in your wheelhouse. It was like, if I made that save with my foot, okay?
Yeah.
I would have. No, I'm kidding. But if I had made that save with my foot, then the conversation would have been like, where was your body weight? Could you have been more forward? Could your hands have been lower? Could you have tipped the ball with your hand? Could you have gotten 2 hands to the ball? And you have to attest to that, Mike. That's how things work. Now, I might keep the damn ball out of the net. Great save, Em. And the foot, and it cleared it, and it went outside the 18. And so, and now that's what, as coaches, we all have to start adjusting to. And I had to adjust to that as well. No, it's not, I'm not criticizing you guys for not having your body weight forward and maybe being bigger and your hands lower, which is the way it used to be taught. Now it's like, you're up, the ball comes up here, you have your feet, you can save, it's great.
Well, let's talk about this before we wrap up here, guys. And I know we've been going for over an hour here, but honestly, this has been one of the funnest episodes I've done in a long, long time. Emily, like, you literally
more fun.
More fun.
Where did you go? Where'd you go?
Where'd you go? Where'd you go? Where'd you go to school, Mike?
I went to Cal State University East Bay in Northern California.
Oh, close.
Yeah, right there in the Bay Area. I could not get into Cal. That would require me of paying attention.
I couldn't have gotten into Cal either, so let's not.
Did you have the funnest time?
What?
I had the funnest time.
Did you have the funnest time, Mike?
I did not have the funnest time. This is why you should choose schools based on where you want to go to school, as opposed to just soccer. That's a topic for another episode.
Hey, I'm a Rutgers girl.
Well, before we wrap up here, I want to talk about just kind of the movement of the ball. And nowadays, Emily, how it's moving everywhere. The players can hit the ball, and they can do so many different things to the type of ball. Is it better nowadays to try to just kill the motion of the ball than trying to contain the ball first? Because I think that's one of the issues, is that I'm seeing a lot of coaches now teaching just go down, drop knee, and kill the motion of the ball, and then go down and smother the ball.
I think it depends. I wouldn't be able to say yes for everything. If I feel like I don't know how the ball's going to hit me, and I don't know, it's spinning in a weird way, then that's a time that I might want to just stop it or kill it. But I've never been taught killing the ball is okay. So that's kind of something that it's kind of new to me, just killing the ball. And it's something that actually Alyssa does sometimes. And I'm like, oh, that actually works in the right moment. But I think now goalkeepers just get lazy and do it too much, especially kids. They're like, oh, cool, I don't have to bend down and catch it. Sick. I'll just kill it and then leave it there and then use my feet. And I'm like, no. So I would say less than people who use it, but there's a certain time for it.
Omar, are you teaching it?
I'm not discouraging it anymore. I think, again, it's definitely has its place, and it's valuable to a certain extent. And I think if maybe, again, like Saskia said, just have as many tools in your toolbox as you can. So for me to say, don't do that, then there's going to be an opportunity where they can do it. And they're like, oh, well, coach told me not to do it. So they're almost persuading themselves that it's the wrong thing to do. And they get caught in two minds. So for me, it's if you can do it, you need to perfect it. If you know you're going to kill, like I said earlier.
That's what we always say. Agreed, Omar. If you're going to do it, you better perfect it.
Yeah,
exactly.
Like the Danish catch.
No, that's not something I would teach.
Emily, have you seen the Danish catch?
My coach actually said that's how he was taught to catch.
What? Like hit your chest catch. Oh, I'm a Viking.
In Serbia, yeah.
Well, yeah, oh my gosh, that ball's.
I think I agree with Omar to bring it back to this while he's looking for that video clip because I see his face.
I'm really looking for it.
I know you are.
Yeah, go ahead.
There is a time and a place for everything, and I was taught by Tony and stuff like that. I was taught, a controlled catch, and whatever for certain situations, and whether that was the ball was moving too much or whatever, a controlled catch. But there were reasons for it. If it was pouring down rain, if there was something, and I thought this is going to be hard to handle, it's a controlled catch. It's not laziness when you're doing it for that reason. Right. But when you're just doing it.
Well, I think a lot of kids, they just default to it. They just let me just
hold the ball, man.
So wait, Omar, do you have a clip?
I do.
Okay.
So
we'll wrap up on this clip, and then Emily, I know we wanted to talk about.
Emily has to be my co-host now.
I think you and Emily should just have a spin-off show.
I mean, you guys have each other, and now I need Emily, and we can have the four of us, and it'll be perfect.
There you go.
Just have a spin-off show, and you can head to Saskia. You can head to Utah. Wait, you guys are spending a month in Utah? Is that what it is?
Utah?
Is that where you guys are going? Yeah.
What is this? I thought we were going to show the when you went viral.
Oh, no, not that. I mean, I could find that somewhere. But this is like one of those sessions that I had in the off season. Again, I want to preface it is that this guy played for the Galaxy. So he, I guess, has like a good level. So I'm like, do I want to change it or do I want to let it slide?
Where are you?
So I'm right here. This guy.
Okay.
He's not involved. He's not involved at all.
He's the guy in the puffy jacket. Okay.
So the entire time we were training, I was telling him, can you front smother? Oh, I just watched the clip. Why am I talking? Just watch it.
Close.
So we're just doing here.
Oh.
So he's gotten to the point where he said that in Italy, because he was playing there, that the coach was okay with him doing it. So he's perfected the kill. So I was like, can we take that to a front smother? He's like, no, I prefer to kill it. I'm like, but no, why are you doing it like that? He's like, it works. Why would I change it? So then I had to kind of adjust, and I was like, yeah, I guess if it works for you. Look, there's probably hundreds of these clips, but he perfected it to the T where it doesn't move more than a yard. And to me, it's like, if you can trigger your mind off of my touch to realize, oh, that's a front smother, it's going down there, and I already know how to kill it and, use my soft hands, then so be it. I can't change it. But again, I wouldn't advise that to young kids. I would say try and smother it if you can. But there are times where the ball goes above the waist, and it's a hard shot through traffic or something like that. And can we just kill the pace of it by using our fingers to drop it down?
Okay,
I think that is helpful.
You know me, what was wrong with that?
No, that's what I'm saying.
Question.
What?
No, that's what I'm saying though. It's like
I said I ditto that question.
I don't understand what you were showing us. That was a great session with Forward Smothers, and it was well executed.
It looked fine to me. The only thing I think Omar was trying to refer to is the fact that ball had movement on it forward. So
no. So what I was trying to say was that if as coaches we look for the perfect smother all the time, then that is something that I probably as a younger coach I would have coached out of him and said, no, that's wrong. It doesn't look aesthetically like how it's supposed to look, where you're supposed to smother it off one clean catch. And so I in that situation, aesthetically and my ideal technique, I'm seeing it and going, you could do better. I'll put a list. I mean, there's 10, 15 of these videos, and I can show you. This was probably a situation where it was ideal for him to use it. But there are other times where he doesn't even take his head down. He just lets his arms go down and do all the work, which textbook wise is why are you doing it? But for him, it's perfected. But in this situation, I was just it doesn't look good, but it's perfect. So for me, it's ideal technique versus effective technique. Which one? And usually effective technique works.
I'm still confused. So we're going to have a conversation off air because I actually, those 5 saves, you'll have to show me from a different angle.
Yeah, this was on a rush. I can find more.
Sorry, I will forever admit when I don't know what you're talking about and not seeing what you're seeing. And if I need to be taught something and grow, that's fine. If I don't agree with you, I'll tell you. I don't see what you're saying. I love it though because I don't put videos out.
I mean, look,
I love you, Omar.
the smother.
No,
I mean,
it's tough. Like if we did like an actual like webinar, I would have clips ready. This one was like I remembered where it was, and it's in my hard drive somewhere, so I tried to find it.
I love it. So we'll discuss.
Emily, do you have you had no issues with that play either?
No. I was like, that's look like what I look like. So
yeah, that's what I look like.
But like she said, we can't really see what's going on from just behind him. So like,
yeah, that's a really good point, and that's something about the camera too. Is that based on the angle of the camera, it's pointed. We're all just trying to help out right here. We're all just trying to.
No, it's good. I just thought it was a good from Smother. So I compared to like the one with the girl on her knees.
So none of those with on the knees or guys wearing.
Omar hates
that guy wearing knee pads or anything like that. Oh boy, this last 15 minutes might just be edited out of the podcast. For the
yeah, I love you, Omar. I swear.
All right, before we go, and Em, we're gonna have to have you back on the show for sure. Like, it's been an absolute blast. We might actually just have to do a whole episode on this. Can you tell us a little bit about E-Boyd's food? Because it was something that's pretty cool. And I know you had shared a picture, last week. It wasn't the most humbling picture or the most flattering picture or whatever. And just kind of showcasing your journey into regards to diet and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, E-Boyd's food is just kind of my platform where it began as a place for just myself, a place where I could keep myself accountable, place where I could learn, where I could share, where people could, give me their input of what they thought. And if you go back to the very beginning, like I made the same thing every single time, like, and the photos are horrible. And it's just a place for me to like learn. But E-Boyd's food now, I feel like is a place where it's just my Instagram at E-Boyd's food. Yeah. And, it's a place for me to share my journey that I feel like a lot of athletes feel like they aren't allowed to have. Like, we can't feel a certain way about the way we look, but it's fine. You can feel any way you want to feel. Like, if you feel like you're too skinny, you feel like you're too skinny. If you feel like you're too big, you feel like you're too big. And I guess it's just me and my journey as an athlete and how I kind of went from knowing nothing about nutrition and fitness to what I know now. And eat your whole foods, folks. That's my biggest tip.
Love it. Yeah. And you're 100% right. Athletes go through, and I'm not going to say females more than males. I don't know that statistic. Just from my experience and myself, like it's not easy. You're always questioning yourself. You're never good enough, whether you're too skinny, you think you're too heavy, and you think this, that, and the other. It's a constant battle. 100%.
Yeah, and we'll put that in the show notes and everything. And Em, if you ever want to come back on the show and really more kind of delve into it, actually, I mean that might be something that might be more up Omar's alley with the human interest stories that for lack of a better term, human interest stories that he's doing with pro athletes and goalkeepers. But
I can literally show you photos of myself when I was with the U.S. team in the 9-9 and say, back then, where my mind was I wasn't good enough, I was too heavy, and this and that and the other. And you will look at me and think I'm absolutely insane. Like, right. What are you talking about?
And in regards to the men and women's side, I think, Omar, I hope I'm okay, not putting you on blast right here, but being open and honest right here, you were very uncomfortable in regards to your size and stuff too. For
always,
a while.
Yeah. No, it was tough. I definitely didn't. I don't know. I didn't know enough information about certain things. And, even the food that I was eating before games, I would have to take a nap. And this is probably not even the same topic, but I would have to take a nap before games because I was exhausted. And it was because the food that I was having and the food that I was having didn't set me up to either have energy or just have the proper nutrients inside of me. So psychologically going into games, I was just like, man, I suck.
Lethargic?
Lethargic. I'm awful. So I'd have to take we had a pool at our house, which was awesome. So I took a nap And then I would wake up, jump into the pool as like an ice bath, wake up. And that was my routine because I was always so tired before games. So that was my thing. And it was because of my eating habits. I didn't eat properly. And I always, like, I look back at pictures of myself playing and I'm like, okay, that was kind of skinny. But in the moment, I was like, I'm so out of shape. Like, what? Yeah, that's like Saskia said.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like everybody like has this idea of who they are. And it probably stems from something that you were as a kid. Like, I've always been the bigger kid, and everybody's always said that to me. And it's always been a joke. It's always been this and that. But then as a kid, that grows in your brain, and you just can't get rid of that idea. Whether you're the little skinny kid, or you're the short kid, or you're the fat kid, or you're the whatever kid, it's like, no matter how much you change yourself, you can never get that out of your head. And it's like, yes, you can. It's like you change yourself, and you just have to like change your brain and listen to people that are not lying to you about, wow, you look great. And you're like,
no, it's not, like, and it's not that easy.
Yeah.
It's not. I mean, I'm with you. Trust me. I've battled it my entire life. I still battle it today. And when I sit back and I look at photos, like there's one over my shoulder right now, and I look out and I know when I took that photo over my shoulder that I thought I was fat and out of shape.
Don't play the comparison game. That's what I feel like I've been trying to tell everybody. Like, yeah.
And I thought I was fat and out of shape. Are you freaking kidding me?
Oh my God.
Yeah. So.
Disclaimer, I don't have a six pack like that.
No, but it's still the point. It's up here. It's still the point. And I like whether, that's that. I don't see that the way like you see it. I see it. Right. I mean, this should be a show, and this should be something we should talk about because it's debilitating. It's incredibly exhausting, and to fight that as well as try to succeed it's hard.
Let's do that. Maybe we should make it like a Q&A type of thing. Like Omar, like I said, like maybe a Q&A with IG, especially with you guys having similar stories in that regard might be kind of cool. Not to put you on blast, no,
Mike always does that though. He's like, not to put you on blast, but I'm gonna recommend a guest on the spot. You have to say yes. I'm like, all right, yeah, I guess I'll do it.
No, but I'd be interested to hear about everything as well.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so while we're wrapping up this one here, guys, Emily, beforehand, thanks again for first up being on the show. I know we've gone for almost an hour and a half here, but we had a lot of fun. If anybody out there, they want to know a little bit more about your journey, or there's young goalkeepers, that are looking for advice, or maybe players that are starting to step into the professional environment, where's the best place for people to reach out to you?
Anything to do with fitness, nutrition, questions, life, anything. eBoyd's Food, I always respond on that Instagram. I'm just a lot more active there. I don't really look at my messages on my other feed. So yeah, if you have questions, eBoyd's Food is where you should ask me questions. But yeah.
Cool. And obviously, guys, you can reach out to Saskia Weber at Saskia_Weber. Let her know she is absolutely insane. She looked incredible in that
It's
picture.
Up here, guys.
I know. Omar Zini, you can reach out to him at what was wrong with that front smother on Instagram.
I have multiple clips. I have multiple clips now, Saskia.
No.
We don't have to dissect it. I'm just going to show you so we can move on. I promise. I need clarity to go to my day. So look, sorry to take anybody's thunder, but when you watch this, again, this is my biggest thing of like, just watch his head. He never goes all the way down. He can kill it, but he never goes down with his head.
This is amazing.
This is why don't get into film like this, guys. It just, you can.
Way to bring it back.
I'm sorry.
No, I needed to laugh. Thanks. We all got kind of serious.
Oh, that one.
Okay.
Yeah. Now I
see it. I see it.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
So look at his head. Look at his head. He just because he gets it, like he kills it on certain ones, he uses that same equation and formula for every single one.
Right.
This guy's gonna kill me. But just look at his head. Like his head stays up and his arms go down. So it's like almost. So there's no cohesiveness between the two. They're not working together.
It forces him to slap the ball away, as opposed to contain.
Well, good thing he has a hat on because we can't even tell who it is.
Are those goalkeeper icon clubs?
I know exactly who this is.
Oh, they look like they are. Anyway, sorry, Eric. I gave you a shout out right there. Well, thank you for clearing that up, Omar. But I never questioned you.
Yeah. Is that
no problem?
I'll be honest. That first one just looked like a good front smother.
Yeah, I think we are all on the same page.
I was rushing. I'm sorry.
This is a better angle, and we get it.
He's like, here's a terrible save. It's like some incredible tip over save. We're like, oh.
But Mike, when you're talking about like how the hand shape is,
yeah,
it's like if you look at here,
Nice.
I can't look. I can't move it. Damn it.
Look at that strike.
Yeah, look at that strike.
Look, his hands are like his palms are super flat.
Yeah.
So he has like no curl to it.
Yep.
Boom. Roasted.
Yep. Emily would never do that. All right, guys.
I gotta go.
Contact at insidethe18media.com. That's the number 18media.com if you have a guest suggestion or topic suggestion, or at Goalkeeper Podcast on social media platforms. That's all the time on Inside the 18. We are out. Later, guys.
Yeah!